Hello and welcome, bookworms. Welcome to this week's episode of The Contented Narrative. We are looking at The Book of Lost Things by John Connolly. Now, everything that I've read by him before has been sort of like horror based. And so I didn't realize that this was the same guy of whom I was reading sort of like the very sort of like real, the Unquiet, Dark Hollow, The Lovers, like the darker horror themed one. So it took me a while, but this one's more like a children's story, but it still has an undertoning of like supernatural and stuff. So it starts off and you've got David, our main guy, and her main guy, he's a 12-year-old boy, and he's lost his mother, and he's lost his mother to a mysterious disease because he's not sure what it is that's killed her. And his dad then finds a new woman, remarries, and she gets pregnant, and they move in with her. And he's not happy because he feels like his mum's being forgotten, and he doesn't like the boy, like his little brother, doesn't really like her, has issues. And then he finds this little world into, like, he finds, like, these stories start talking to him on his bookshelves, and then he finds this entrance to another world. And when he goes into this world, it's because a fighter jet, 'cause it's World War II, and a fighter jet comes down and basically pushes him into this world. And he's then on this journey in this magical world to try and find this king so he can read the Book of Lost Things, so he can find a way to get home. And while you're going through this, you've got like a Rumpelstiltskin's character who's like behind the scenes and like playing with people's fates and everything. You've got a woodsman, so you've got like and every time he encounters new people, it's like a retelling of an old story, and it was so beautifully done. And at the end of the book as well, so when the book concludes, at the end of my version of the book, so I don't know if it's everyone's versions of the book, but I will include in the comments my version of the book. But at the end of my version of the book, it's also got other ones that they didn't include, like Sleeping Beauty, like all the different ones, and it's just so wonderfully done. So you do come across sort of like harpies in the book, you come across goblins, you come across trolls, you come across like knights, you come across like, it's just so many different things, and it was just such a good sort of like adventure. And as he's going through this world and he's defeating these things, he's realizing that actually his life isn't so bad. Like the woman who married his father isn't so bad, and that his little brother isn't so bad, and he would just like a chance to kind of get back to them. And it felt like a nice sight, like, because obviously children do. So I probably would say that it was a child's book, but I would say it's more of a child's book that you would read to your children rather than a child sort of like picking it up themselves. But it's completely up to how your child reads. I was always reading beyond my years. But I think what's nice about this is sort of like, it's him trying to understand and come to terms with what it is, who he is, and what his life is. And I love that progression through the story, and I love every time he's sort of like learning a new skill, making friends with someone, moving on, and he becomes so much more than he was. And you won't be disappointed with the ending, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. But I would like, genuinely, I think this is such a nice one to read to kids. I think maybe people like children 10 and up could maybe read it on their own, but I think if they're a little bit younger, you might want to sit down and read, because it is a bit of a hefty book. Hefty for children anyway. For me, it was like 300 pages, so that's fine. But I would say give it a go. I would say, give it a read. Let me know what you think in the comments. But thank you so much for your continued support. I remember to always keep it contento.